Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to all our members, guests, and panelists. It is so amazing that we are already in February. I swear the year just started. It's been 2 seconds. This is February, the Black History Month. It is a celebration of great minds and Black excellence. So today we also welcome our first cohorts into the Black Advisory Hub. Over 100 entrepreneurs and second cohort of 200 starting by mid-year. Wow. My name is Aoife, and I will be your MC today. First of all, I would like to once again welcome each and every one of you for making time available for these conversations today. Our audience is so excited to have each of our leaders in the Black community with us today, our esteemed speakers. Entrepreneurs from diverse sectors, youths of African descent representing different parts of the globe and giving us this huge opportunity to be able to have these conversations with you. To all our participants and audience, this is a live information session. You will have the opportunity to ask some questions after the session. However, due to the short time, we will provide more information today and we'll be able to engage with you again in a short while. I'm looking at the chat now, so kindly let us know where you're connecting from. Drop your location. I'm in Burlington, so shout out to us in Burlington if I see anyone in Burlington. I see some Toronto people, so just keep dropping it down in the chat box below. Let people connect with you and understand what your business is all about, your profession. Just drop a little tidbit about yourself. We want to get to know you also. If you would like to ask a question, please leave them in the question and answer chat. For the people on YouTube, drop them in the chat also. Our organizers will be picking from them over there. Our team will also address some of your questions as we go along and add resources that you're going to need through the general chat box. Also, a heads up for our French people, we haven't forgotten about you. We also have an interpreter on the line who will be talking as I speak for Honorable Faisal and also for the Q&A. So if you have any questions in French, drop them in the chat. We will be able to answer them. As the Zoom room is looking full, we also encourage our other esteemed participants to move on to our YouTube link in the box. It will be dropped on the YouTube channel and also in this chat. I also encourage you to share Casa Foundation YouTube links with all your groups, associations, your friends, honestly, even your enemies. They might benefit from this also, so that they can take advantage of this session with our esteemed Black leaders, founders, and groups featured here today. So as we continue along, I'm delighted to welcome our special guests who will be speaking today, the Honorable Faisal Hassan, Professor Kamlin Sedro, and Professor Joseph Odumeru, and our Dr. Olutoyin Oyelade, President of Casa Foundation and CEO of INCAP. Please join me to welcome these icons in our community. I will now hand it over to Dr. Olutoyin for some warm welcomes and remarks and introductions.
Je peux traduire pour l'audience française. Alors, bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Merci de vous joindre à nous. Nous saluons chaleureusement nos estimés panélistes, nos membres et participants. À l'occasion du mois de l'histoire des Noirs, ce mois de février, nous célébrons l'excellence des Canadiens noirs et de leur communauté. Aujourd'hui, nous accueillons également notre première cohorte au sein du comité consultatif noir qui compte plus de 100 entrepreneurs et notre deuxième cohorte qui compte plus de 200 entrepreneurs en milieu d'année. Nous sommes très excités d'avoir nos leaders de la communauté avec nous ce soir, nos chers panélistes. C'est l'opportunité d'avoir cette discussion avec les entrepreneurs de divers secteurs et de différents pays. Ceci est une session en direct. Vous avez la possibilité de poser vos questions après la session d'information dans le Q&A chat, dans le chat box, questions et réponses. En raison de la brièveté de la session, nous vous donnerons plus d'informations aujourd'hui et n'hésitez pas à également laisser vos questions en commentaire sur la plateforme YouTube. Nos panélistes aujourd'hui sont l'honorable Faisal Hassan, le professeur Kamlin Sedro, le professeur Joseph Odumeru et notre docteur Olutoyin Oyelade, qui est la présidente de Casa Foundation et la CEO de INCAP. Alors, joignez-nous à vous pour les accueillir chaleureusement.
Thank you, Sabrina. So over to you, Dr. Olu.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome again, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, everyone. It's such a joy. It's such a pleasure to be here again this afternoon. Let me start by saying it's a wonderful time that we look forward to having here again, and happy Black History Month to every one of us joining in today as you come on. Ladies and gentlemen, today we welcome the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator candidates, even on this first day of the Black History Month. So it's such a joy to do this, and I thank you all for joining us. In 2018, Casa Foundation started its EP Academy, an incubator with the support from community partners, including Tridel, Women Entrepreneurship Knowledge Hub, the BMO Bank of Montreal, that's the BMO for Women, and several other partners joining us to sponsor, to coach various members of the incubator called EP Academy downtown Toronto. Since the EP Academy started, that incubator offering training and business sessions, business building, workshop sessions to its candidates, we must have trained over 2,000 people. Little did we know at some point that, we would then, the EP Academy incubator would actually, be extending its services to specific Black community groups, which is now what we have done to create the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator. So you can imagine the excitement with which we come into the room today after offering those services for 3 years solid to various counterparts and cohorts in the downtown core, to now have the opportunity and the privilege, and in fact the honor, to offer the same services to the Black entrepreneurs in our community. Specifically in October, Casa Foundation was also announced as an approved manager of the Black Entrepreneurship Program, one of the approved managers with all of its partners including Skills for Change, University of Quebec in Montreal, partners including the Entrepreneurship Hub, even at University of Toronto, and several other counterparties, including Chambers of Commerce from Ghana, Canadian Chamber of Commerce, to Afro-Canadian Chamber of Commerce, to Mali Chamber of Commerce, and to the Mali-Canadian Association of Canada, the Entrepreneurs Point itself, which I just described recently, and the Friends of Africa. Several other counterparties came together to form the Black Advisory Hub, and it gives us so much joy this afternoon to welcome the first cohort of the Black Advisory Hub into the room with us today. Celebrating the candidates joining us at the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator, which is the latest platform of Casa Foundation and its partners, is a major milestone for us. It is a major milestone because we know for sure there are huge gaps within our community groups, the ecosystems, the partners that we work with. I'm sure several times we hear this over and over, the gaps, the lack of access, and the lack of access to major resources, to jobs, and all of the things, the various challenges that we're faced with. But we know that although the challenges seem quite many, it is a daunting task that we have ahead of us as Black community partners to deliver the projects. And we know for sure that the gaps that we currently experience in the Black community, the Black community groups, our ecosystems, we know for sure that there are challenges that can be surmounted. And indeed, we will surmount all of these challenges together. So this afternoon, it's not about speeches. It's actually more about all of the solutions that we're looking to offer. And I know that some of the solutions we will be sharing some of them this afternoon. From some of our esteemed guests in the room, I am so delighted to welcome them this afternoon and to have them share with us, bringing the message of hope, bringing the message of empowerment, bringing a message of access to all of the advisors in our community, access to the experience, the volume and the years of experience that all of our community leaders have garnered they are making all of this available to us this afternoon. So on this Black History, the first day of this Black History Month, I am really delighted to welcome all our leaders in the room with us this afternoon. And I'm just going to quickly introduce them, and then we can take it forward from there. Today we have with us the Member of Parliament, the Honorable Faisal Hassan. And we're so glad, we're so delighted that you could make it and join us this afternoon at this event. We're delighted, and we look forward to hearing the message of hope that you have brought to us and all our community members and our partners. We have with us also Professor Joseph Ojumeru. Professor Joseph Ojumeru is the Director General at the Government of Ontario, with the Government of Ontario, the Laboratory Services and the Environment and Park Services of the Government of Ontario. It's such a delight to have you here with us. Professor Ojumeru also is a professor of food sciences at the University of Guelph. And so he brings different perspectives to the room with us today, because not only does he manage and mentor youth groups, youth within our Black organizations, but I'm sure he will tell us a little more about himself. He brings all of these perspectives into the room today to share with us the journey of anti-racism with the Government of Canada, Government of Ontario, what is being done, what's been done so far, where the challenges are, and what we need to do about those challenges. He will also be discussing with us this afternoon a few ideas on how to go about mentorship, particularly within Black businesses. What's the role of leadership and mentorship, and why should you find people to mentor you as a business and as a leader before you can actually lead your own team? So you're welcome, Professor Ojumeru. It's such a joy, it's such a pleasure to have you with us in the room today. And Professor Zetro Kamla, I'm told will be joining us shortly. I'm not sure if he has, but we will be welcoming him as soon as he comes in. But Professor Kamlan Zetro is also the Dean of the School of Management at the ESG UQAM, that's the University of Quebec in Montreal. ESG UQAM, University of Quebec in Montreal, is also one of the partners of the Black Advisory Hub, delivering the project Black Advisory Hub to all the candidates and constituents in Montreal, Quebec, the Northwest Territories, because it's a university, a system of 10 universities across Canada. And so we'll be welcoming them as soon as they come into the room. Today also, Surana is here with us. And so let me quickly introduce Surana to us. Surana Sandy is also the MD, that's the Managing Director of Skills for Change, one of the partners of Casa Foundation, running the project Black Advisory Hub. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to take it back to our Member of Parliament, the Member of Provincial Parliament in the province of Ontario, the Honorable Faisal Hassan, to share a few thoughts and to bring us that message of hope that he has for us. Please join me to welcome the Honorable Faisal Hassan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oyolede. Hello, friends and brothers and sisters, and thank you very kindly for the opportunity to speak to the good folks from the Casa Foundation and all of the Black entrepreneurs with us today as we celebrate Black History Month. Many faces here today are familiar, but those that are not familiar with me, allow me to give a few words of introduction. My name is Faisal Hassan, and I'm proud to be a member of the Provincial Parliament for the Great Riding of York South-Weston. For those that don't know me, I will tell you a little bit about myself and my journey to Queen's Park. I was first elected to the provincial legislature on June 7th, 2018, and was proud to be the first Somali Canadian elected provincially, and having the opportunity to sit on the official opposition's Black Caucus, the first ever established in Ontario, has been very rewarding. My life's adventure began in the Horn of Africa. I was in my late teens when I made the fateful decision to leave my home of Somalia. I arrived in Italy alone and ready to start a new life. After working odd jobs in Rome for almost 3 years to basically survive, I had an opportunity to go to Winnipeg. I arrived in Manitoba in 1990 on my way, but hopeful for the future. Arrived on my own, but hopeful for the future. Winnipeg was where I seized upon the dream, ambition, and inspiration that all Canadian newcomers have. After working to support myself through higher education at the University of Winnipeg, where attending the University of Winnipeg, I was told this by a professor in my introduction to business class that I do not belong to this class because of my race. He added that no one who looks like me ever graduated his class. Therefore, you are in the wrong class, and you should leave. I told him, this is my class. You can, read my name in front of my desk, and I continued to succeed. Friends, brothers, and sisters, racism is real. We must confront head on wherever we see. I moved to Toronto for job opportunities in York Southwestern, where I still reside. I worked a number of years as a writer, radio broadcaster, and community activist. Housing, social assistance, and poverty issues interest me most, and I invested my energies in trying to better my community. After working in political offices, doing community work, I decided to run for office myself, so I could most directly help my community and province. In 2018, that dream became a reality as I became part of the Ontario's largest official opposition. My role as youth opportunities critic has provided me with a direct opportunity to connect with young people from all backgrounds. The one common theme is the importance of knowing one's history and having mentors and role models to learn from. This is why on a day like today, marking Black History Month, we need to recognize our history and learn from it. It makes us stronger, and it is important to pass those lessons on to future generations. When we see what is going on in the streets of Ottawa these days with Nazi and comfort flags and mobs of people raiding soup kitchens meant for the homeless, we must think, have we learned any lessons? I believe we have learned lessons, and the number one lesson is to not forget the past and to stand up against any racism or hatred we see. Stand up for ourselves, our neighbors, and our children. Friends, brothers, and sisters, in my role as a member of provincial parliament, I'm so grateful to meet so many different people, groups, and organizations. I think the energy voices we are hearing in Ottawa are in the minority, and the voices I'm so happy to hear are those like the ones presented in this meeting this evening. Folks that are looking to lift up one another and to make our communities the best they can possibly be. We are blessed to have the richness of the diversity that exists in Ontario. That diversity adds up to a wide variety of influence in our culture, our arts, and our businesses. I applaud the good work done by the Casa Foundation that contributes so greatly to our communities. Today, on Black History Month, more people should be aware that the foundation offers social support in healthcare, infrastructure, and education. The solidarity in assisting international students in Canada through scholarships programs is commendable. As the official opposition critic for youth opportunities, I know all too well the need for and the importance of empowering, mentoring, and encouraging young leaders to help build better communities. Friends and brothers and sisters, I know COVID has been difficult for so many families. Their children and their elders have all suffered and gone through so much. Small businesses have been forced to close their doors, and many have not been able to survive. I have spoken to so many small businesses, business owners in our community of York Southwestern, and I advocated time again for them in the Ontario legislature. The Ontario government has not delivered on the financial support small businesses need, and in fact, programs that exist are either difficult to navigate or many businesses do not qualify. Those that do are still waiting money approved, and a simple mistake on your application form can mean denial of a claim. The Ontario NDP recognizes that all small businesses are not the same, and cookie-cutter approach to all of them is not the way to go. I had the pleasure of hosting my leader and Ontario's next Premier, Andrea Horwath, in York South-Weston to announce our Safe Main Street plan. Some of the keys to our plan in helping small business owners is to put a ban on commercial evictions during this pandemic, provide a 75% commercial rent subsidy, sick days for all, and a fund to help businesses with a safe reopening. Putting an end to insurance gouging and insurance denials is another important step into helping small businesses. We need to recognize that small businesses are the backbone of our communities and any economic recovery. We hope to see cannot happen without a vibrant small businesses sector. Economic recovery, we hope to see, cannot happen without a vibrant small business sector. As a Black Canadian politician, I'm glad to have a voice in the legislature advocating for all Ontarians, and conversations like those that we are having today on Black History Month help inform our policies and decisions. A few items of importance I have been working on include education. Education has been a big issue with young people suffering in a revolving door of in-person and online learning. We are calling for smaller class sizes and for capital improvements in schools that have been in poor repairs due to underfunding for decades. Parents also need affordable childcare. Both the federal and the provincial NDP have called for decent, affordable childcare for years. Now the federal government has stepped up with a plan, and shamefully the Ford government is the last province or territory to strike a deal. Some of the other big issues we have faced in York South-Weston have included the postal code discrimination that results in us paying some of the highest rates in the province. Look for a private member's bill on auto insurance I will be co-sponsoring in the coming months. Consumer protection is another issue where people are tired of being taken advantage of and having nowhere to turn. In February, I will be a part of a bill addressing this very issue and bringing forth many important consumer rights conversations. I am also proud to be part of a bill in February that is an anti-Islamophobia bill developed in partnership with the National Council of Canadian Muslims. Friends, brothers and sisters, with an election in June 2nd, there is a very real possibility we can have an NDP government and a Premier Andrea Horwath. Well, I have enjoyed being in opposition and holding this government accountable, the chance to form government and be able to bring true equality, justice, and fairness for all Ontario families and businesses is something I look forward to. We can be so much better as a province, and I know you know that as well. That is why you do the education and mentorship of Black leaders in Ontario to be the best we can be and for our communities to thrive. Friends, brothers and sisters, I will leave you with a quote from the late Nelson Mandela on this first day of Black History Month. There are words all of us should learn from. I never lose. I either win or I learned. Thank you, everyone. I wish you success and a healthy and happy Black History Month. Thank you very much for having this evening.
Je vais maintenant traduire l'intervention ou interpréter l'intervention de l'honorable Faisal Hassan. L'honorable Faisal Hassan est député de York South-Weston et au cours de son voyage et du chemin qu'il a amené ici au Canada, Une fois arrivé au Canada, un professeur à Winnipeg lui a une fois dit qu'il n'avait pas sa place dans cette classe à cause du fait que c'est un homme noir et à cause de son background. Il a insisté, il a persévéré et il a continué à aligner les succès. Après avoir longtemps travaillé pour la communauté, pour les besoins de la communauté au niveau local, il a décidé de se présenter à l'élection pour mieux servir cette communauté. Et il nous avance qu'en ce mois spécial de célébration de l'histoire des Canadiens noirs, nous devons reconnaître notre histoire et en apprendre les leçons, surtout au vu des événements actuels. La première leçon à apprendre est que le racisme est réel et nous devons faire compter nos voix pour s'aider, pour aider nos communautés et pour s'aider à gravir les échelons. Il applaudit le travail de Casa, de la Fondation Casa, et il pense que plus de monde devrait être au courant de leur travail, de leur programme d'aide aux étudiants et des opportunités qu'ils présentent aux personnes qui ont des projets d'entrepreneuriat. Il est très conscient de l'importance de promouvoir le leadership des jeunes. C'est un de ses dossiers spéciaux. Il place donc le soutien des jeunes au centre de ses préoccupations. Il faut également en faire plus. Le gouvernement doit en faire plus pour soutenir les petites entreprises. Une approche adaptée est nécessaire pour aider les petites entreprises, car il y a beaucoup de différences. Ils sont les poumons de notre économie et pour une remontée économique sérieuse après la pandémie, il faut absolument soutenir de façon efficace ces petites entreprises. Il lutte également pour l'amélioration de l'éducation et les services de garde. Et enfin, il va prendre part à un projet de loi contre l'islamophobie au mois de février au Parlement du Canada. Et il présente l'idée que nous pouvons faire mieux. Et c'est pour ça que les entrepreneurs noirs sont des acteurs essentiels de cette amélioration de la société en général.
Thank you. So a short video will be played now about Black Canadian achievements.
Open your arms.
And I would open the boardroom door, and everybody's looking at this 34-year-old Black guy that's there to save them. Who's that Black man?
That maybe we could do a Black thing.
I think it's very easy to fall into the angry Black woman hole if you're ever serious.
And I don't even like to say Black. I just period.
As well. Revolutionary soldier. He was brought to Upper Canada.
In this profession, you cannot just be regular run-of-the-mill. It's not allowed.
We will also send a powerful message to the young Black people of tomorrow because they're here today, but they are tomorrow's leaders.
As the top athlete on the planet, I was blessed and quite humbled to receive the Harry Jerome Award.
The next generation, we can see the first Nobel Prize awarded to an African-Canadian physicist.
The whole journey of being an award winner is so much deeper than you know at first.
Almost 2 years ago, there was a vote to recognize racism in the profession. If I'm going to speak, I'm going to speak with passion.
Black woman living in the West, how do I find those affirming?
So I just want to say thank you to our special guest, the Honorable Faisal Hassan, for those strong, powerful words that I've been looking at the chat while you were speaking, and the chat is actually applauding you. They're saying, shout out to you for fighting for what you believe in, and also that you belong here. So Again, thank you for that. I recognize the hard work, label, and struggles of the Black Canadians over the decade. Now, next, I want to introduce three guests. It's Dr. Odumeru, Dr. Oyelade, and Professor Surana Sandy, who will be speaking. But first, I will now pass the ball over to Dr. Odumeru. Dr. Odumeru is here to share perspective on anti-racism and how we can help the community in this aspect. At this point, you'll get to ask Dr. Odumeru and all the panel speakers your questions after their presentations. So I'll pass it along to Dr. Odumeru to speak. Please take over.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and good evening, everyone. I would like to begin by thanking the organizers for inviting me to say a few words of empowerment to our Black entrepreneurs establishing their business and working in the current Western culture in this country of Canada, which we all call home. My expertise is in the field of science, but I think I have ideas based on my past experience on how to persevere, overcome barriers of racism, and continue to work hard to reach my career goals of being a successful entrepreneur. So I have things to share with you, and then I'm going to be starting by talking about who I am, where I am with my career today, and then talk about where I was and the type of challenges I faced in my career journey. It is indeed a journey. And I thought it's important that I share this with you because when I share this with you, because I do a lot of mentoring for our youth, I always share my experience with them to encourage you that there are a lot of lessons learned, during my career journey. And this is my opportunity to share with you. So let's start with where I am today. As introduced by Dr. Oyelade, I'm currently the Director of Laboratory Services Branch, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks. I have 140 employees in the laboratory performing testing of environmental samples to detect chemical and biological contaminants in air, water, soil, and sediments. We process well over 1.5 million samples a year. So it's a very, very busy lab. In fact, during the pandemic, my lab has been open throughout. And we've been having staff working throughout that time. I have 5 managers and 5 supervisors and 1 assistant director. I've been in my current position for 14 years. And prior to my current position, I was the director of the Laboratory Services Division at the University of Guelph for 3 years. And prior to that, I was the manager and senior scientist of our of the microbiology lab division at the University of Guelph. I currently hold an adjunct professor status at the University Department of Food Science. And to date, I've trained 25 graduate students in PhD and master's food science programs. I thought I'd tell you about all of this to say this is where I am today. But it is important that I share with you where I was before I actually get to this position. So that's my current career journey. So I'd like to share with you the challenges I've faced as a visible minority and to be specific, as a Black person in this country, because it took me a lot of challenges to get where I am today. So I'd like to share that with you. First of all, I'd like to start off by telling you that I came to this country on February 9, 1974. I'm sure some of you will be saying, oh my goodness, I haven't been born by that time. But that's quite a long time ago. But I remember very well because it was a very cold, wintry day. Somebody calling from Nigeria, coming to winter, that was quite an experience. I was supposed to go to University of Lagos, but I decided to take an adventure to Canada because I have a friend here who's my friend at high school, and I thought, let me take the adventure. So when I got here, I went to Lambton College of Applied Science and Technology, which is in Sarnia, for medical microbiology technology program. I spent 2 years there. 4 years, I spent 4 years at the University of Western Ontario to do my undergraduate in microbiology and immunology. Then I spent another 5 years in graduate studies at the University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba. As you could see, you hear from MPP Hassan indicated that he has had experience in Winnipeg as well. So it was really quite an experience. As most of you know, I call it Winterpeg because it's really cold there. So I did my master's and PhD there in medical microbiology. Then just like Mr. Hassan did, I then came back to Ontario. So despite all the hard work and the multiple professional degrees that I had, it took me 7 years doing various postdoctoral work before I finally find a permanent job. 7 years of jobs that are contract positions here and there. And meanwhile, my white colleagues have already got position in their field of expertise. So again, that's one of the things you face as a Black person or racialized person in this country. It took me a long time to actually get a final job. With a wife and 2 children, I had to do what I had to do at that time. But finally, in 1992, I got my first permanent job with the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture. And so this is 18 years after I came to this country. So when some of the people that sees me and say, yeah, you're a director and so on and so forth, they have no idea how much challenges I've faced before I finally got to where I am today. But one of the things is that I had to persevere, work hard, despite all the obstacles that I encountered. And I can say now I finally reached my career goals in my current position. But unfortunately, as we speak, systemic racism continues today. And I'm sure many of you are experiencing this as we speak. So that is why I'm focusing a lot of my time and energy these days on anti-racism. So I'm very passionate about this. And in fact, in my ministry, they all know how passionate I am because I've given a lot of speeches and talks throughout the ministry. My ministry is a population of 2,000 staff. And they get to hear from me what racism is all about. I'm currently the co-chair of anti-racism and respectful workplace for our ministry. We have 42 active members. The advisory committee reports to the deputy minister, so I get to talk to the deputy minister about providing advice on how to handle racism. And of course, he indicated his zero tolerance for racism, but also I want to hold him by his words. Because when people that, especially those 42 committee members, they all come from racialized group and they tell me every day what they are going through on a daily basis. So working in that area is a great way to start. But one statistics I like to share with you is that even though we have 2,000 staff in my ministry, only 3% of them are Blacks, just 3%. And then of course, I'm basically the Black director in my ministry. The second one just joined as an acting position, but I'm hoping that he will become permanent. But other than that, there's still a lot of work to do. So we have 5 subcommittee members working on a wide range of areas of concern, including harassment, discrimination. As a Black person, you are 5 times more likely to face harassment and discrimination. Hiring and career development. Again, hiring practices is a key area that we've been working on because you are less likely to be hired compared to your white counterpart. We also have a committee on education and development subcommittee to talk about educating people about racism because it's about awareness. Some people probably are not really aware that their action, the way they do things, is racist. So again, that's an educational aspect. We also have a subcommittee that's providing assistance for those that have faced racism within our ministry. And then of course, we also have a subcommittee looking after policies and programs, because when those policies and programs are put in place, it's systemic. Because if anybody wants to ask about what is the root cause of systemic racism, there are 2 root causes of systemic racism: colonization and slavery. That's where it comes from. So, and then it becomes a system whereby of power that whoever is racialized or Black belongs to that category. So we need to change that. So that is how we have 42 committee members working very hard to change that in our ministry. We've developed anti-racism action plan. We also developed implementation plan, which we're all working on. And even though as a director, I'm very busy in my lab, but I take this as my #1 priority to make sure that the youth, Black youth that are coming after me do not have to face the challenges that I face, and so on. They also OPS launched a third-party review in 2018, and there's a report on that, 200 recommendations, huge report. And it goes from leadership, anti-racism strategies, training and prevention, structures to implement cultural change, employment system reviews, all of those, and also WDHP, which is workplace discrimination and harassment. As I said before, you are more likely to face WDHP, workplace harassment and discrimination, as a racialized group. So a lot of work to be done. Again, there's really not enough time for me to go through everything that we're doing today. But one thing I'd like to highlight is that there's still a lot of work to be done on anti-racism. And I would like to share some of the lessons that I have learned during my journey to get to the current position I am. So I'm going to share a few of them with you as Black entrepreneurs. One first of thing is to identify the type of business you like to focus on. And what type of business it is will depend on consumer demand for the type of business you want to be on. You may need to develop options because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, but you want to make sure you have option A, B, and C. You also need to consider the type of challenges you may face as Black entrepreneur in this society of that has systemic racism in. But again, do not let that define you. Be ready to work 3 times or 4 times as hard as your counterpart or white counterpart. When my kids are growing up, they're all professionals now. I always tell them, they say my dad preaches for us. I say, well, as a Black woman or Black boy, work 3 to 4 times as hard. But somehow I think they've had some of the words I said, because they're now professionals. One of them is the older girl is an accountant. My boy is a lawyer, litigation lawyer, and then of course my last born is a physiotherapist. So they need to, I told them, go to a career that is marketable, and also you need to work as hard. Do not say, oh yes, my friend John is doing this or that, therefore I'm going to do the same thing. Well, you know what? We still live in a system whereby you need to really prove yourself. Never give up on your dreams. And when I do a lot of mentoring for our youth. One thing I always say is never give up on your dream. Quitting is not an option. Never quit. Because if I have quit all along with over 200 applications I've made, I will never be where I am today. But the thing is, quitting is not an option. Never, never quit. Always, whatever failure it is, make it a lesson, as a lesson learned, and then go on and use that as a lesson. So never give up. So finally, I'd like to let you know that as much as I'm passionate about anti-racism, I'm also very passionate about mentorship. So this is an area that I'm spending a lot of my time on, and using my experience, lesson learned since I came here in 1974, which is a long time ago, and many of you are probably not born then. I've got a lot of experience to be able to share with all of you. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to share my experience. And so I'm going to then pass it on to the organizer. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Odumeru. Thank you. It's always so inspiring to see how Black people like myself were able to rise against racism, especially in this country. But you even took it a step further by fighting against it so that the Black youth of the future don't have to go through that struggle. And honestly, I applaud you for all your efforts. We need more Black mentors. We need more Black people to continue to do this. So again, I just want to reiterate for our chat to just continue to drop your questions in the chat box. We do have people who are picking it out, whether it's questions for Dr. Olu or questions for Dr. Odumeru. They're here to help and answer these questions. I will now invite Surana Sandy, who is the Managing Director and CEO of Skills for Change Canada, to speak about Black History Month. Skills for Change is in its 40th year managing new immigrants into Canada, and it has started its Black Leadership Institute in Canada last year. Skills for Change is also managing the Black Advisory Hub in the GTA with Casa Foundation. So please welcome Surana Sandy for me.
Good evening, and thank you so much for having me here this evening here at Casa Foundation. Thank you very much, Dr. Olu. And it's been a pleasure to listen to everyone, to learn about your stories and the contributions that each are making, including MPP Faisal Hassan, and that journey, that really immigrant story that we see and can embrace and connect to. Black History Month, February and forever, celebrating Black history today and every day by recognizing the incredible contribution of the Black Canadian diaspora. And being here this evening and listening on February 1st, the first day of Black History Month, and this very critical project that CASA has been entrusted to implement to support and serve the Black community, it's history making in and of itself, and it is an opportunity for further history, further heroes to be established with innovative businesses through mentorship, community development. And I'm looking forward to 10, 20, 30 years from now to look back on some of the entrepreneurs who will be celebrated through their achievements via the support through Casa Foundation. So this is fantastic. And it's critical for us to remember that Black Canadian, Black entrepreneurs have been making contributions to Canadian community and business environment for many, many centuries. The first Black settlers to Canada arrived in 1608, and thousands of Africans came to Canada in the 17th and 18th century. So the history of the Black community in Canada is rich and is filled with incredible contributions to Canadian society. And we can sit down and reflect on them today, whether it's Viola Desmond, Marianne Shad, who was an entrepreneur, teacher, and writer, Lincoln Alexander, our first Black Lieutenant Governor, and many entrepreneurs, Mifflin Webster Gibbs, political activists, and others who really set the foundation for many of us today to be successful, to do the work that we're doing, and to be in spaces that were previously closed to us. And closer to home, Skills for Change's work. We celebrate a Black community of leaders, activists, and business owners who have and continue to advocate for a better and more just society for Black Canadians. And these leaders include current activists, including Dr. Olu on the work here at CASA, and for community agencies, business leaders, as I've mentioned, professors, D&I strategists, people working on anti-Black racism institutionally or across, whether it's at the provincial level, or the municipal level, in businesses and in community. As mentioned earlier, in 2021, Skills for Change launched a Black Community Access Program, and that included a Black Leadership Institute for Social Action for Change. And that is focused on both an entrepreneurial lens and a leadership development lens to help the Black community members access programs and services that would really make a difference to Black community members. So the Black Leadership Institute is a leadership development program that creates pathways to more inclusive leadership across various sectors to represent Black leaders in the Canadian society, as well as Black entrepreneurs through the Black Advisory Hub, at which we are partnered to support Canadian Black-led, Black-owned growing businesses with capacity building and management, innovation, financial literacy, access, and financial support to launch their business. So myself personally and the team at Skills for Change are committed to working towards the elimination of discrimination, racism, specifically anti-Black racism against our Black community. And we are committed to providing opportunities for Black youth, Black entrepreneurs, Black newcomers. And we are committed to working together to build awareness and change attitudes important in combating anti-Black racism, including racial privilege, racial injustices, unconscious bias, microaggression, and more. So as we celebrate tonight, the first cohort and future cohorts joining this project, getting the resources, access to mentorship, training, and tools to launch successful businesses. We hope that you join Skills for Change and Casa Foundation and partners over the month of February and beyond as we celebrate the Black community and commit to working towards a more inclusive future for all. So I want to say congratulations to CASA. This is the first step in a very successful number of years of running this project, I hope. I am excited to be a partner in this initiative to support Casa Foundation, its leaders, staff, and community partners, and the participants in the program as we create the next generation of Black entrepreneurs, as we support innovation in the Black community. And I look forward to successful businesses being launched and to participating in those businesses as a consumer and as a supporter. And I look forward to learning from each entrepreneur as they go through the journey of business leadership. So thank you so much for joining this evening, and thank you to Casa for having me here today, and I look forward to continuing partnership and collaboration as we do this most important work. And for all entrepreneurs who are listening to this call, I wish you the very best of success as you go through your journey. There will be ups and downs, but you have a great team around you who have expertise, knowledge, resources, who can support you as you navigate the entrepreneurial space. So thank you so much and have a good evening.
Wow, very insightful. Thank you so much, Surana Sandy. That was highly good. I'm actually so glad that we have all these tools towards success for our community. And honestly, here's to much more. I will now invite Dr. Olu to speak on the new solutions for Black entrepreneurs, especially the BEYI Accelerator solutions to create opportunities for Black Canadians. So over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Ife. Thank you so much to all our kind speakers, our partners, and all the people who spoke before me.
It's 6 o'clock.
Very insightful insights you have shared. So welcome. I was wondering if Sabrina wanted to take a few minutes to share.
Absolutely, docteur. Absolument, docteur Olu. En travaillant très fort au sein de la communauté noire pour créer et élever les capacités de nos leaders, de nos jeunes, nous améliorons nos conditions. Et je tiens à souligner que en célébrant ce mois et en tenant cet événement, en participant aujourd'hui, nous créons en soi une histoire. Nous ajoutons notre pierre à l'édifice pour l'histoire des Noirs. Et je tiens à préciser que je suis très excitée d'être en partenariat avec la Fondation Casa pour soutenir l'innovation au sein de la communauté noire. Bien sûr, le message d'encouragement pour les entrepreneurs noirs aujourd'hui est de ne pas vous arrêter, de continuer à vous aider les uns et les autres, et même si vous allez avoir à rencontrer des hauts et des bas, lors des bas, appuyez-vous sur les systèmes de support comme ceux qui sont essentiels et présentés par la Fondation Casa. À vous, docteur Olu. Back to you, Dr. Olu.
Thank you, Sabrina, for those comments and information. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sure you agree with me that we've had some very insightful comments, very enlightening comments so far from our special guests and esteemed speakers. And thank you so much again for sharing. This afternoon, I thought we should also share with us, particularly for, with the first set, the first cohort coming into the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator, the new accelerator, solution-based accelerator that is looking to empower and to advance, the goal and the businesses within our communities. And so it's important and definitely imperative for us to share the goals of the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator with you this evening. When the Black Advisory Hub project started, it's important to share with us this evening that, we started out trying to, redesign, making some, putting together some ideas about the needs, about the gaps, and about the specific challenges that that could be imagined. A lot of survey have been done, a lot of research conducted as to what exactly would be those gaps and how could those gaps be addressed. A lot of people got to work and the project started, from the conception to the design stage. And we're so glad to be one of those groups working with our partners, that was eventually approved to manage this particular program for our Black community. Now, talking about the solution of the Black Advisory Hub, I believe that a lot of us, particularly a lot of our cohorts and other members of the community that are gathered here with us tonight, have gone through a lot of training. And so that became part of the feedback, the fact that there have been several training sessions, several schools, several certificates, and so on. But what is more important is how those, the credentials, the certificates received so far could actually translate into empowerment, economic development, wealth creation within our community, within our communities. And so the goal of the Black Advisory Hub then is to work with different partners and to ensure that we are able to create wealth within our community and we're able to advance and empower other people within our communities. Now, this is not just mere talk, and it's not just a rhetoric. We have actually put measures in place to ensure that the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator would not only be operationalized by Casa Foundation and its partners, but the results will be clearly seen. So if you actually decide to go on the website of the Black Advisory Hub.ca, you'll find some of the tools that have been made available for all our community members, whether you're a youth, whether you're within any age group, whether you're a business that is just starting, whether you're an established business, the Black Advisory Hub is for you. And what are those tools? The fact that you have members of our community, different members of our community from different places, demographics, serving you at the Black Advisory Hub as either advisors, mentors, coaches, or teachers. And so within the Black community, the solutions that we've been looking for a long time, you find that they are actually, within our community, and you can actually have access to them, from the government sector to the private sector to the academic sector, business, whatever we need, we have resident within our community. So if you go on that website, you find a list of advisors, about 25 of them, that we're going to make available to you. You will have access to these advisors. Some of them have spoken already tonight. They are entrepreneurs, they are business owners themselves, they lead other businesses, they work in the private sector, or they belong to the sector, the academic sector. And so once you have access to these groups of advisors, mentors, leaders, as coaches, they come into class, they teach you themselves. They're teaching you from the knowledge base, their repertoire of experience, garnered over the years, some donkey years of experience. I'm sure the advisors that you have within the Black Advisory Hub community, I'm sure that will be a cumulative of almost 500 years of experience, if not more, because definitely we have more than 10 that have been in business for over 20, 30 years. So they bring all of this experience to the table. There will be roundtable sessions. And these are some of the tools. And these are not just roundtable sessions where we're talking. They are roundtable sessions that are problem solving. So you are putting your problem on the table and you are being connected to people, established businesses, very experienced people that have perhaps been through such experience, such challenges before you. And so they're able to adduce solutions that would actually be meaningful. And so we adopt a scholar practitioner approach. A scholar practitioner approach is people who are teaching you are not just people who practice what they teach, and they're not just people who have been to school. They are actually people who have been to school, who are already practicing what they were taught, either in school or what they gained experientially. And there are also people who are still in school, like you have the Professor Zetro Komlan, the Dean, and that you have Professor Joseph Ojumeru, who is also teaching, who is also practicing, like you have a Surana Sandi, who is actually practicing and leading a team of people in an organization that is over 40 years. And so that comes with a lot of experience. People are not just talking, they are actually teaching you what they have learned in their journey of entrepreneurship or in their journey of professionalism in the private sector. You have government participants also, and I'm sure for our MP, our special guest that is also in the room tonight, because he's an advocate for youth, If we have youth startups, youth groups looking to start a business, definitely from that side, he's also able to offer some advisory or some mentorship. Yeah, they definitely have a group and a team of people working within his office that will actually, fine tune that and ensure that the process is fast tracked, perhaps particularly when you apply through the Casa Foundation. So all of these groups, all of these icons are in the room tonight, and many more of them will be joining us at the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator, either as teachers, as coaches, as mentors, offering advisory services, or sometimes we are also going to have access to some of these organizations so we can place you within those organizations, place you in their organizations for a period of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or as you require, so that you can actually learn the best practices. Some of the challenges that a lot of people have talked about, and of course, do remember, we're not talking about challenges tonight, but in the context that of this presentation, where some of the challenges that have been mentioned over the years is the fact that sometimes we lack a lot of structure. A lot of the groups are looking to do business effectively, but they lack the structure. And so there is no sustainability. Some of the businesses start, and within 2 years, they go, they're nowhere to be found. 3 years, they're nowhere to be found. Or they have such a great idea. They have potential partners that they can work with, but they're not able to attract those partners. They are not able, in the event that they're able to attract some of the partners, they are not able to retain the partners. And so how have some of the organizations that have been in this country as Black organizations, Black-led organizations and community groups, how have they, sustained their operations in the past 40 years, in the past 38 years, in the past 25 years? These are the types of people you want to hear from, so that even when we have the idea and we're going to take the idea to the next level, there is also something called sustainability of the business. How do we sustain the business? What kinds of partners do we need in the room with us? What kinds of projects should we be running? What kinds of results should we be showing? And then, of course, in terms of the financial management, what kinds of accountants do we need? Do we need accountants? Do we need to file some returns? When do we need to file the returns? And how will these dovetail into the partners or the investors of the future that we require? How does that dovetail into attracting them into our books? The kind of partners that will bring the kind of clients we're looking for. How do we do our business plans? So we've heard a lot about this, but in these class sessions, over the next 12 weeks, you're going to have in the room with you veterans, experts, advisors, mentors, coaches, teachers from the banking sector, the universities, the government sector, the nonprofit organizations, and so on, in the room with us, chatting the course, helping us, making sure that if it is required, you get a placement within the organization so you can understudy the CEO. How does the CEO sit? How does the day of a CEO start? Of course, a lot of us already have our businesses and we've been running some of those businesses successfully over the years. However, the point remains that at some point, we need to understudy other people who have become, successful role models within our communities, so that we can also, advance our businesses. When it comes to wealth creation, for instance, a lot of questions that we get in our current classes at the EP Academy, the incubator we started 3 years ago, some of those, questions, they turn around. What do we need to do? How do we ensure that banks give us loans? And I believe that we've already heard about some of the loans that have been made available within the Black community to Black businesses. However, the story remains that a lot of people are still not able to access those loans, possibly because the papers, there needs to be a deliberate or an intentional step towards creating the correct or the appropriate or the acceptable business plans. These are some of the things that we'll be talking about at these class sessions, and there will be roundtable sessions also. And then to wrap up each session, because these sessions will happen twice a year, I am happy now to say that for the applications that opened on the 21st of December, about 5-6 weeks ago, it closed on the 20th of January specifically. We had about 520 applicants for the Accelerator program. And so now, having reviewed all the notes and all the documents submitted, it's heartwarming to announce tonight that about 125 candidates have been shortlisted from the group of 520. We are still reviewing the submissions to see what people are submitting, if it tallies, if it's in sync, if it aligns with the goals of the BEYI Accelerator. Moreover, we are going to also have a group where even for those ones that are not able to come into the BEYI Accelerator, starting this week, the first class session starts this week. If you're not able to come into that class, if you're not able to come into the class for one reason or the other, because of the documentation, because your form wasn't properly filled out or completed, or because we didn't find the right program for you within the cohort that is being hosted from this week, we definitely will be coming back to you because there are several other programs. Our partners also have their own programs. They're running a lot of programs for the Black community, programs that have to do with how you get patronage. So you've started your business, it's supposed to run effectively, but it is not because of the pandemic, not because there's a current crisis, but just because of the structure and because the marketing strategy is possibly not right. We do have a lot of partners also that will be looking into the marketing strategy and that will be looking to take you out into the market. We have a group also managing investments. And so perhaps you're at that stage, you're thinking it's not a loan you really want because of the interest you would have to pay. You're thinking you need investors. So equity investment is actually what you're looking for. At some of these sessions, we will have such people come into the room also to make such offerings and present their value proposition so that you will have access to a variety of options. So there's a loan part, there's the equity investment part, and then there's the pitch part, which is the last one that I wanted to mention tonight. At every session of the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator, there will be a pitch. And the pitch, we are hoping that we get more sponsorship, more support from the community and from some of our supporters and partner organizations. But as we speak right now, we have some organizations that have committed to 50,000 for some of the small businesses that are just starting, so that at least they can get started with their projects, as long as their business plans have been done right. We also have another group of people that will be helping us with the business plans. So we know that we have some challenges with writing the business plan and curating it in such a manner that is acceptable, to the financiers. We will have some help with this. These are some of the value for, these are some of the things that we have put together for you at the Black Advisory Hub. And these are some of the things that our partners are committed to executing with us. Tonight, I want to welcome you all again as the cohort of the Black Advisory Hub, the first cohort. And we're looking forward to having a wonderful time with you all. We know for sure it's going to be a jolly ride. We're not just going to be teaching, we're going to be supporting you every step of the way. And because we have a clear understanding that a lot of us are still working, that's why these programs will happen in the evening. And so please keep that in mind. 5 o'clock to 6:30 every Thursday. This program will happen. The Zoom link will be shared with us at some point after this program today, which is your welcome ceremony. And this is why we have invited our leaders from the government, the private sector, the academia to join us here so that we can all get started together. At some point during our class sessions, I'm sure some of them will also be there to coach the 125 group of people at the cohort. Thank you very much. We welcome you again. Now I'm just going to turn it over to you, Sabrina, before we go back to the MC. Thank you.
Alors, c'est en fonction de la recherche sur les besoins spécifiques de notre communauté que nous avons mis au point les solutions au sein de la Fondation Casa. Ces solutions sont les suivantes. Il faut créer de la richesse et du développement au sein de notre communauté. Et les solutions que nous avons mises au point sont celles que vous trouverez dans notre accélérateur d'affaires de la communauté noire. Et ces outils, parmi ces outils, vous avez des leaders qui sont à votre service en tout temps en tant que mentor, en tant que coach, et la liste de ces conseillers, de ces leaders du marché est sur notre site internet. Vous avez des dizaines et des dizaines d'années d'expérience accumulées qui sont à votre service et vraiment à votre disposition. Nous organisons également des tables rondes où vous pouvez déposer vos problèmes sur la table et nous cherchons une solution ensemble. Donc, n'hésitez pas à participer car ce ne sont pas seulement des tables rondes où nous allons faire que parler. Vous venez et vous rencontrez des gens d'expérience, des gens qui ont eu du succès, des gens qui ont eu vos problèmes avant et qui sont là pour vous aider à trouver des problèmes à votre projet d'entrepreneuriat. L'apprentissage que vous recevez à travers la Fondation Casa est un apprentissage qui est ancré dans la pratique. C'est très important pour nous de faire en sorte d'apprendre de l'expérience des autres qui sont passés avant vous. Et non seulement nous sommes intéressés à la pratique, nous sommes également intéressés à la durabilité de vos projets. Un des points que nous avons remarqué lors de notre recherche est que parfois, vous venez avec une idée d'entrepreneuriat, mais il manque la structure. Et c'est pour ça que nous voulons vous aider à maturer votre idée, à la développer, mais aussi à ce que votre succès dure dans le temps. Et nous apprenons des structures qui sont pérennes dans leur succès. C'est pour ça que nous vous aidons, par exemple, à aller chercher votre prêt. C'est pour ça que nous mettons à votre disposition des prêts spécifiques pour vous. C'est pour ça qu'il y a un encadrement qui vous est absolument adapté et nous vous encourageons à continuer, bien sûr, à chercher vos investissements en équité et à continuer. Continuez de nous suivre. Nous sommes très enthousiastes à l'idée d'accueillir la nouvelle promotion, la nouvelle cohorte. Nous sommes très excités et nous sommes sûrs que nous allons avoir une très belle aventure ensemble. À toi, Ifé.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. And thank you, Dr. Olu, for that informational speech on the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator program. Don't forget to drop your questions below. And here is a video just talking about the Black Advisory Hub Accelerator program. So thank you. So now we will now be taking questions from the chat box. We have a lot. Unfortunately, we might not be able to get to all of them just because of time, but I will try to ask as many as I can in the short time that we have left. Our interpreter will be typing it up in the chat box. So if anyone still needs the French interpretation, the interpreter will be putting it in the chat box for you. So let's just get started with the questions. Dr. Odumeru, I do have a question for you from someone from the YouTube chat. How do you think we can move forward and carry out racial reconciliation as a society?
Thank you very much for that question. That's an excellent question. It is right now. It's a lot of work to do to turn the ship around. The racial systemic racism is embedded in the society, and the question of what we need to do, we need to continue to bring it to the attention of the government and as well as the people of authority to say this cannot continue. So when you say racial reconciliation, the only time you get reconciliation is when racism becomes something that is not acceptable in the society. So that's when reconciliation will come. And again, we all just need to continue to work at it. And I've already promised myself, even after I retire, I will continue with working on that, because every bit counts. Yes, we know it's a big ship, the culture to turn around, but again, we need to make every effort to turn it around. So we get reconciliation when in fact racism becomes unacceptable in the society for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Oluso, I have a question in regards to the Black Advisory Accelerator program. Is this open to, firstly, is this open to all applicants all over Canada? And secondly, for this type of program that's available in Canada to support businesses, how is it being executed? So now I know you touched about this in your speech, but can you just add a bit more to that?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. Thank you so much to whoever asked again. The program, the Black Advisory Hub, is open to every Black Canadian. As a matter of fact, people who also support Black businesses can be a part of the program. But for the first cohort, what we have done is to accept applications. We make a call out for applications to people, general groups of people that are within the Black ecosystem. And that's where we got most of the applications from, maybe except for a few from other groups. And this is open to everyone nationwide. And the idea then is we have our sessions online, so it's virtually. It's going to be executed virtually. We have our partners like the ESG UCAM. So for people in the Montreal, Quebec area, they will be using the platform of the University of Quebec at Montreal, and they'll be applying for the program over there at the university. Of course, for some people, they prefer also to get the program directly and take all the benefits directly from the lead office, which is Casa Foundation. Because it's been offered virtually, we are actually taking everyone nationwide. But for those ones who have the preference for the regional partners, you would have the platform of ESG UCAM, you will have the platform of Skills for Change, you have the platform of the Afro-Canadian Chamber of Commerce, the Ghana Chamber of Commerce, the Mali Chamber of Commerce, and all the support groups of all these various organizations in Alberta and all the other regions where we have all our representatives. So we look forward to you utilizing their platforms too. But the one from the main office, which is Toronto, Ontario, would start this week, 3rd of February, and the Zoom link will be shared with all the people that have registered and have been accepted into the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And I know you spoke about they would have like coaching, mentoring. Someone actually really wants to know how the applicants are going to be matched, and will they be matched with mentors in their areas of field?
So that's also an excellent question. Thank you for that. The idea is actually to match right now for this particular, the first cohort. The idea is to match the candidates with mentors from their sectors, people who understand your business, people who understand the business you're trying to do if you're a startup, or who have been around your journey, because we find that that will be more meaningful and useful to you. It's not just to match you with anybody, but somebody who understands what lies ahead of the road, so that the pitfalls, you can actually be guided to not fall into those issues that perhaps they have experienced before, and you'll be able to avoid the pitfalls in every part, most sides of the business. And then they will also be able to offer you pieces of advice regarding funding, regarding partners, regarding clients, because a lot of people have businesses at this time, and yet there are no clients to patronize them. Thank you.
So now this is a question that could be answered by both Dr. Olutoyin and Dr. Odumeru. There are two parts to this question. So the first part, I would probably give to Dr. Odumeru. Given the diversity inherent to the Black community, how do we build a united front across the different cultural frame of reference? So I want Dr. Odumeru to answer that, because I think you actually do have an idea about that. And then the second part is, would the Black Advisory Hub be taking on this challenge? And if so, how? So Dr. Odumeru, are you able to start us off?
Yes, thank you very much. That is an excellent question, because yes, we that are Black people have different cultures. We have to realize that. Even within Nigeria, we have so many cultures, so many languages and things like that. So we have to realize that despite that differences, because that's how God creates us, we have different languages, we have these things. We have to determine what do we have in common. We have more in common than what our differences are. Culture is a good thing. It's good to embrace your culture. We just have to embrace our culture and don't make it as what makes us different, right? So when you see that we're all Blacks, then you know that we have a lot more in common. When you are in this culture, they don't even see, all they see you is as a Black person, not your culture, your language, or whatever. So that is why it's important that we all need to work together. For example, in the Ontario Public Service, we have a organization called BOPSAS, which is Black in the OPS, right? And we all work together because we have a lot of things that we're all facing, the similar challenges, right? And therefore, we need to look at what is common, the common challenges that we have, than looking at what makes us different. Yeah, culture is a good thing, and we just have to embrace that and don't make it sound like that's different from you. We even have different languages as Black people, right? So don't make it that a point of differences. So that's the way I look at it, and so on. Thank you.
Yeah, very well said. And I really liked that part about not looking at how we're different, but looking at how we can relate, how we're the same. I think that's very powerful, especially for Black people across the diaspora. So now, Dr. Olu, is this something that the Black Advisory Hub will be taking into consideration, taking on this challenge? And if so, how?
Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you for the question. Actually well timed too. Thank you. One of the factors that Casa Foundation took into consideration in putting together and forming and creating the Black Advisory Hub platform is actually relates to this. It has to do with the differences, the demographics, and our differences not actually becoming a challenge to us, although it's been for so long, but actually using those differences, the same issues that became so challenging to us as a community, using that also to unify us and bring us all together. And exactly that was a step that Casa Foundation took in actually making the application for the Black Advisory Hub. Eventually, we found that by taking the bold step to appoint 11 partners and going together with an application with 11 partners, ourselves becoming the 12th as a lead organization, was actually a differentiating factor for us because it is an ecosystem fund. If you're going to have an ecosystem fund, it means you need a lot of groups from different ecosystems coming together to form that ecosystem fund. If it's going to be an ecosystem fund, it's got to be a lot of bits and pieces, partners from left, right, and center, people that are so totally different from what you currently do, offering different services, but bringing it together on the platform so that people can actually have a basket of services, a basket of products, things that they can choose from, things that Casa Foundation, areas where Casa Foundation might not be so strong, but these other groups are stronger, and then they're able to offer the same services through the Casa Foundation platform. This is exactly what we have done with the Black Advisory Hub, with the Ghana Canadian Chamber of Commerce, a totally different country, although they're managing their businesses. Mali is there, and several other countries are there on this same platform. Then you also have groups of the universities that we talked about. All of these groups and institutions and organizations will offer different services, different products, and then they will also be, they will also be more, they will be mindful of the cultural differences. They will be mindful of preferences. How do we do things? How do we sell when we're selling to women? How do we sell when we're selling to men? Because sometimes it's a different strategy, it's a different approach. How do you mentor women? How do you mentor men? How do men mentor women? How do women mentor men? Because at the end of the day, it's the value on the table, the value you bring to the table. You might be a woman and you have years of experience, and people are looking for the experience you have in a particular sector. And you are just coming into the business, you're a young startup, you're male. How do you ensure that you get the people who are experts or have gained some experience more than you in that particular sector? And you're able to leverage their experience. You're able to leverage their connections. You're able to leverage the funding that's available or the access that they have to networks, and make sure that you use that to further increase, improve, expand your business. This is the goal of the Black Advisory Hub. And it's important that we come with an open mind so that we can take advantage of all of these benefits. Because if we're not mindful of all of the services and the benefits, and we don't want a situation where people see the benefits, but they're not able to take advantage of those benefits available to them because they come with all kinds of perspectives, cultural issues and barricades. All of those things are there, but we've just got to put them aside and come with an open mind so we can make the best use of all the resources that have been made available to us. On the platform we're talking about, we have the ambassadors of some of our countries on this platform that I just referred to. How do you come into a room and you know that these particular groups of people have what you need and you're able to leverage it and benefit from it? I think keeping an open mind will be the best approach, but the resources and the tools, they're already available on the platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Olu. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to take one more question. Okay, so last question for Dr. Olu, and Dr. Odumere, you can jump in if this is something you can also answer. What kind of support do you have for introverted entrepreneurs when it comes to pitching and meeting investors? So I know for people who are extroverted, it might be very easy for them to meet new people, network, pitch their ideas. But what about the people who aren't as extroverted, the introverts? Any ideas, any tips? Dr. Odumere, I think you can answer in regards to, it doesn't just have to be entrepreneurs, just anyone who's introverted, like any tips to just getting themselves out there, especially with like pitching and meeting and potential investors.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for that question, whoever asked that, because I've taught a lot of lectures and in classes whereby I do know some people that are very extroverted. They're the one that are always putting their hands up and so on. But the introverts also have a lot to bring to the table. They are listening attentively. But the idea here is to continue to encourage them, because being introverted doesn't mean you cannot be successful. Yes, you can, but at the same time, you also learn to know when to speak out. Because if you don't speak out, or if you don't answer the questions that you need to answer, then you may not be able to get the answer you need to do your business. So being an introvert, yes, it is a common trait for many people. But at the same time, you also need to learn when to ask for help, when because everybody needs help one point or the other in order to be successful, right? So don't stay there. Ask the key people that need to be able to help you get to where you want to go. If you don't understand something, ask. But that doesn't mean that you need to be bubbly all the time, because that's just your character. But again, I always encourage some of the quiet people in my class to say, okay, now that I've heard from many of this, then I like to hear from those that I haven't heard from already. What do you think? So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to pitch in maybe one or two also there, so we can wrap up. But yeah, for the pitching people that are extroverted, the good thing about the Black Advisory Hub is it's a 12-week program. So a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching, you become confident, you stand before your cohort members. So there's a whole cohort. You are meant to stand before other people, present your value proposition, and see how that works well for you. In the process, you get more confidence because you have what you call peer review in class. And so people have given you like a feedback, you presented it to people that you've become familiar with. It's one of the ways we form the partnerships that we're looking to form, the ecosystem of support that we're looking for within the Black community. And so having interacted extensively with these groups of people in class, by the time you have, you've spent 12 weeks with a group of people or even 9 weeks, and you start making your presentation, you invite your colleagues in class, your peers in class to review that, to give you feedback. Then we place you right in front of the entire class. So these are people you're familiar with. We don't just throw you on a stage. You have to present and make your presentation in class first. You gain some confidence, you get some feedback, and then you rewrite your pitch if you need to, or you find a way to do that. We also appoint advisors for you. So on a weekly basis, you get to meet some of the advisors, because you will have special advisors working with you in class. And then that's when you become so confident, you get on the Casa Foundation pitch stage first. So you get an opportunity to stand before familiar people. So investors will be coming, but we'll also be there with the investors with you. So that's the solution we bring to the table. And by the time we're done doing that, then you can also gain enough confidence to go out and pitch, make a pitch for your business. Casa Foundation is awarded over 250,000 in pitch grants in the last maybe 3-4 years. And so we believe that this is how we've done it. And this is what we bring to you in this particular class session. And then you'll be able to face other people. We're very confident and we're optimistic that you will be able to do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that will bring us to the end of our session. I just want to once again thank all our members, the speakers, panelists, and you, our audience, for taking time to be here. And I would also like to take this opportunity to extend an invite to our next session in April. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, youtube.com/Casa Foundation, so you don't miss any session. Save the date in your calendar and be ready. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again.